Hey Facebook family, how you doing? We thank God for giving us another marvelous Monday to reflect back on this sensational Sunday and a spiritual Sunday. And that we are still in the minor prophets. And this week was the first look at the book of Haggai, where there we found that God says to the people of God that there is a necessity for priority. God determined that his people had misprioritized him, and they had made him second fiddle. They had put him on the back burner versus him being on the front burner. The Babylonian captivity is over. Persia now is in control, and they had sent the people of God back to the city of God, David, Jerusalem, to build up the temple of God that has been torn down under the Babylonian captivity. And now they started the work. They were enthusiastic about the work. They were encouraged by the work until they experienced opposition from doing the work. And you read about that in the book of Ezra, chapters 4 through 6, how the neighboring countries, the heathen countries, put out a bad letter and faxed and emailed and text messaged the king, Darius, the Persian king, at his headquarters and said that Israel is a people that's known to be rebellious and that they will revolt and they literally will not pay tribute to the king. It's a bunch of lies because the people of God didn't allow those persons to help them rebuild the house of God, the temple of God. So as a result of it, they got offended. The text suggests that they were offended and they took it out on Israel by lying to the king and saying that they were going to cause a rebellion and a revolt to take place and they would not be loyal and they would not pay tribute to the king, which all of those things were not true. But nonetheless, it caused the screeching halt of the rebuilding of the temple. They had laid the foundation. And now some 16 years has passed, and lethargy and complacency and pessimism and all of those things, complacency has stepped in. And as a result of it, apathy was another thing that stepped in and crept in the people of God. As a result of it, all of those sicknesses, all of those spiritual diseases will demobilize momentum and motion when it comes to the things of God. The question that I ask you is what I had to ask them, and I had to ask about myself. Has there ever been a time in your life where God told you what he wanted you to do? You were excited about doing it, but you met opposition in the process of getting it done, and that opposition distracted you, and the while it discouraged you, and you look around, not only that, but it demobilized you. And now the very things of God you no longer have a passion for. It has waned. You find yourself being apathetical about the things of God, pessimistic about the things of God because of discouragement, which distracts us and detours us off of our destination. And God has to check us. He has to confront us. He does in the book of Haggai. He says, you tell me that it's not time for me to build my house, but in the meanwhile, you're working on your house. So you substituted my project for your project. You put me on the back burner, and I sent you to Jerusalem for the sheer purpose of rebuilding the temple. But instead of building my house, you've now changed your direction because of discouragement and apathy, and now you building your own homes. So the things of you become primary and not the things of God. We can be as guilty as they were. As a matter of fact, I tend to believe, and I share this with Sharon Church all the time, that what they were, we are, or we can become. And don't ever underestimate you as a believer, as a Christian. Just because they did it of old does not mean that we're exempt from it. Matter of fact, it's more like a mirror that we need to be cautious of it, or else we will do likewise. I think one of the New Testament writers said about the Old Testament, these things were written for our examples, so that we know what to do and what not to do. But nonetheless, they literally put the Lord on the back burner pertaining to his stuff, his things that evolve around him. And you and I can do the same thing. They put food before him. They put fashions before him. They put finances before him. And they became consumed with it and indulged in it. So much so that God says when it comes to your food, you're going to be able to sow, but you're going to reap little. And when you eat, you're not going to be satisfied. When it came to their fashions, he says, here it is. You are worrying about, or you are so consumed about what you put on your back that you have no concern for what goes on in your soul. And as a result of it, God says, I'm going to send the moth to eat that stuff up. And then when it comes to your finances, he says, you're so consumed with money. Matter of fact, you have made it immoral, even though it's an amoral commodity. But the love of it makes it evil and makes us do evil things. And God says, yeah, you think it's your money. You overindulge in having it. And so as a result of it, I'm going to put a hole in your pocket. I'm going to put a hole in that Gucci purse that you wanted, or that Louis Vuitton wallet that you wanted, or that Louis Vuitton bag that you wanted. I'm going to put a hole in it, and when you put it in Louis, I'm going to make it leak out of Louis. My sisters and my brothers, the primary gist of the book of Haggai is make sure you prioritize God. If we don't do it, it's not going to automatically happen. We won't do it. So I encourage you, I exhort you in the name of our God, that whatever you do, make it a necessity to prioritize the God that you worship and serve in your life. Because if you don't, you'll deprioritize. He'll be somewhere back on the back burner, on the back 40, where he needs to be right present in our lives. Don't go after the resources, go after the source. And the Lord Jesus Christ, our God, our Father, is the source. God bless you. Have a blessed day. Peace. Deuces. I'm out.